The Steam Deck made an undeniable mark on gaming. It proved that full-scale PC titles could run in a handheld format, and it didn't just create buzz, it created an entire category. Valve went from a company best known for its software and platform to a genuine hardware player, setting new standards for portable gaming PCs. But as the years pass, one question keeps surfacing. What about the successor? What about Steam Deck 2? Valve hasn't announced anything official. No teaser, no blog post, no conference reveal. Yet between insider leaks, industry whispers, and carefully chosen comments from Valve developers, a picture is starting to form. In this video, we're going to cut through the speculation and look at everything we know, and everything we don't, about the Steam Deck 2, from hardware expectations, to release timing, to whether it will finally deliver the features fans have been asking for since day one, like a higher refresh OLED display and longer battery life. Let's start with timing, because this is where Valve's strategy becomes clear. If you're hoping for a Steam Deck 2 in the next year or two, you'll likely be disappointed. Trusted insider Kepler L2 and others have suggested that a true next-generation Steam Deck is unlikely to arrive before 2027 or 2028. That's nearly 6 years after the original. Why so long? Because Valve doesn't want to make a Steam Deck 1.5. They've said this openly. Pierre-Loup Graffet, one of the key developers behind SteamOS, has explained that Valve isn't interested in incremental gains of 20 to 30%. They're holding out until technology enables a significant leap in both performance and efficiency. This means Valve isn't operating like smartphones, or even like competitors such as the Asus and Lenovo, which iterate more quickly. Instead, Valve is deliberately taking the slower path, betting that a real generational jump will be worth the wait. The strongest rumor so far is that Steam Deck 2 will once again be powered by AMD, this time with a new custom APU reportedly codenamed Magnus. Built on future Zen 6 CPU cores and RDNA graphics, this chip may even share some architecture with the next generation of home consoles. Performance targets are ambitious. Rumors point to CPU boost clocks near 3.8 GHz and GPU clocks pushing 1.8 GHz, all within a power envelope designed for handheld use. The goal is a sweet spot around 20 watts TDP, offering a big jump in performance without making the device overheat in your hands. If this is accurate, Steam Deck 2 wouldn't just run today's demanding games at decent settings. It could rival mid-range gaming laptops while still being portable. That's the kind of leap Valve is waiting for. One of the most discussed upgrades is the display. The Steam Deck OLED showed how much difference a better panel can make, but fans are hoping Deck 2 goes further. The big expectation? A 120Hz OLED display. Why 120Hz? For one, it makes everything smoother. Scrolling menus, navigating the desktop, and of course gameplay. Fast-paced indie titles could hit high frame rates, while variable refresh rate support would smooth out heavier AAA games. Resolution is still a point of debate. Some sources believe Valve will stick with around 800p or 900p to keep power consumption in check, while others argue that by 2027 or 2028, a bump to 1080p feels inevitable. Community mods like Deck HD have already proven that a sharper, higher-resolution screen works well, so Valve is well aware of the demand. Screen size is another likely area of improvement. Thanks to slimmer bezels and a probable chassis redesign, many enthusiasts expect Valve to bump the panel size slightly, potentially up to 8 inches from today's 7.4, without making the device itself much bigger. That extra screen real estate would make games more immersive and text much easier to read, which is especially valuable for strategy games or RPGs, where you spend time managing menus and reading dialogue. Put together, these changes could make the Deck 2's display one of its standout upgrades. Bigger, smoother, and sharper, with a more premium feel, all while staying just as portable as the original. Battery life has been the Achilles heel of the Steam Deck. Depending on the title, the original could drain in 2 hours or stretch to 6, but never comfortably more. The OLED refresh added a slightly larger battery and improved efficiency, yet it still wasn't a true solution. For Steam Deck 2, expectations are higher. Insiders believe Valve will tackle the issue from both angles: smarter efficiency through the new APU, and a physical redesign that allows for a larger battery cell. This makes sense. Valve has already said the device won't be the same shape forever. If they rework the chassis, they can free up room for more battery without making the Deck too bulky. Efficiency features like dynamic TDP, thermal throttling improvements, and frame rate limiting will still be important, but a bigger battery is almost certain. Put these together, and a realistic target emerges: 6 to 8 hours for lighter titles, and 3 to 4 for the heaviest AAA games. Not endless, but a clear step forward. Controls are another area where fans expect major refinements. The original Steam Deck saw occasional joystick drift, something that frustrates any handheld gamer. The rumored fix is Hall effect joysticks, using magnetic fields instead of physical contact, which makes them far more durable. Valve already made smaller input refinements with the OLED model, but drift concerns and wear remain. Hall effect sticks would solve that, and it's one of the most realistic upgrades we're likely to see. Noise is another sticking point. The OLED revision improved thermals a little, but fans still reported high noise under heavy loads. For Deck 2, quieter cooling is high on the wish list. A redesigned thermal system and better fans could make a noticeable difference, not just for immersion, but for daily usability. When the Steam Deck first launched, it practically defined the handheld PC gaming category. But today, the landscape looks very different. The Nintendo Switch 2 is already on the market, running on NVIDIA hardware with DLSS upscaling, and it proves that Nintendo can deliver better performance while keeping its unique ecosystem intact. On the Windows side, refreshed devices like the Asus ROG Ally X and Lenovo Legion Go 2 are pushing the bar higher with faster displays, detachable controllers, and more refined premium designs. In short, handheld competition is fierce. By the time Steam Deck 2 arrives, it will need to be more than a simple refresh. It will have to match or exceed these competitors on performance, price, and overall experience to win back attention. One of the Steam Deck's strongest selling points was its price. Starting at $399, it undercut the competition dramatically and made PC handheld gaming accessible to a much wider audience. But can Valve pull off the same trick again? This time, expectations are more cautious. With the significant hardware bump expected for Deck 2, it's hard to imagine it launching under $500. Most analysts believe $599 is the realistic sweet spot, though some warn the price could creep closer to $699 depending on final configuration and manufacturing costs. The question is simple: how much are gamers willing to pay for a true generational upgrade? The competition isn't cheap either, which gives Valve some breathing room, but pricing will play a huge role in whether Deck 2 can match the success of the original. So where does that leave us? If the current leaks and insider reports are even partly accurate, Steam Deck 2 is shaping up to be a significant step forward. More power, better efficiency, improved controls, a bigger and smoother display, quieter cooling, and longer battery life, all wrapped in what will likely be a more refined design. But none of this is happening tomorrow. Valve is clearly playing the long game, choosing innovation over quick refresh cycles. That likely means a release closer to 2027 or even 2028. A long wait, but potentially worth it if the improvements deliver. Now it's your turn. When Steam Deck 2 finally arrives, what's the one upgrade you consider non-negotiable? Is it 120 Hz, bigger battery, or maybe a higher resolution screen? Let me know in the comments. I'll be reading through them.